next time you see me, I'll have a tattoo of you and Chopsy on my right in the middle of my chest.
You are listening to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. First of all, I'd like to apologize for it taking so long to get this episode out. I was trying to get it out before BCAF, but didn't get it done in time. And then with post-BCAF stuff and getting sick and a little bit of a facial injury, I just didn't get it done, and it keeps getting further and further pushed out. So I jumped on here and tried to get it finished. Again, thank you to Vannotes for coming on, and without further ado, here's the episode. Welcome back to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast. It's me, Chopsy, and with me always is
Sam Fortner.
And today we are here talking with Vannotes.
Glad to have you here.
That's me. I'm here.
All right, you want to introduce yourself and tell the listeners what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Vannotes. I'm a storyteller and comics artisan here in the Treasure Valley. I've gotten to work on some cool projects, including graphic novels for Scholastic. The big ones have been Piggy, Spy Ninjas, the Bendy graphic novel. There's some ones coming down the line. I've also gotten to be really active here within the Treasure Valley kind of comics community that people have been interviewed here on the podcast, where they've all been kind of coming from. So, I got, let's see, I'm the editor for BCAF Presents, which is a free publication that comes out through Boise Comic Arts Festival. That's now in its second year. So the first year we did a trial run, an unpaid trial run, where we put together the anthology. And, the dream was that everyone who came to BCAF, because BCAF's so comics focused, everyone would walk out with a comic book. Because, so there's so many comic shows that aren't actually about comic books. And then the other thing I do is I organize a little church comic convention called Hot Cocoa Comic Con. That's, and there's a few other hats I wear that might come up in the interview. But
Nice.
Excellent.
Or the conversation. Interview sounds like I'm in Variety magazine.
Interrogation is...
No. I do want to talk about, so far I've been kind of a shadowy phantom presence on the pod, where there's been a few conversations that have circled around me, and I just, narcissistically have just been sitting, waiting to hear my own name. But all the stories were unflattering, too, so...
Well, now
I was the cartoonist who was mad at their mom when she tried to break a $100 bill at his table. On Josh's episode.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like, I don't remember talking about that. But yeah, Josh did mention that, didn't he?
It does just make me sound like a jerk, just being mad at his mom.
I didn't know that was you. No,
an ungrateful child.
That's funny. No, I had no idea it was you. So.
She loves to float around a Benjamin. So,
dude, I wish my mom went to the shows. I love seeing your parents there. That makes me really happy. You should cherish that. It might be a little. I bet if my parents did, I would be like, God, I hate them. Get out of here. But
it's kind of like the gay journey, the comics journey too, the journey of acceptance from being so confused at this thing. But they've been pretty supportive. They Emerald City Comic Con, they brought me there twice when I was growing up. That was my big wish for the whole year. I got Christmas presents still, but so I can't be that was Christmas and my birthday. But I would be please, please, please take me to Emerald City Comic Con. So
that's great. That's fun. Have you ever shown at Emerald City?
No.
Do you want to?
I would. I think I haven't, even though I've had this career of doing licensed graphic novels and comics, I don't think I've had a specific project that's really been necessarily a breakthrough project that's been a showpiece that would help me get into a show like Emerald City that's pretty competitive. I think, I can't remember if they have a lottery system or how their acceptance goes. But it is, I think, not necessarily juried. I'm speculating about all these things. But, it's just one of those things where if I had a few more credentials or like a breakout work, it would help me cross the line of being able to get into a show like that.
Yeah.
So,
what about Rose City?
I've never thought about doing Rose City, even though I tend to, because I have family up in the northwest part of Washington, I'm always driving through Seattle and Tacoma, and I'm never kind of going down that Portland way. So I don't find myself crossing into Portland as often, but I would totally be down for some Portland shows. I know you all are trying to start beef. This is like a theme of the podcast. You're always just coming for Portland artists.
They're gonna get here they probably don't listen, but if they do, they're gonna come here and like, there's the assholes right there. I saw him in a coffee cup once.
I want to start like quoting the Bible at you, like, because one of the most like within the Bible, one of the strongest messages is like, you were once strangers in a strange land. Like, be kind to strangers, and you're just so mean to these Portland people.
It's all just a joke, though.
It is a joke, but this is what I just realized while you were saying that. I think we have it the other way around, where we feel like we're the strangers. They get their names on the thing. They're getting paid to be there.
Yeah.
We're having to pay and get in line. We feel like the strangers. That's probably what it is.
But
we want them to treat us with a little more like, hey, look at these.
But when you go to like shows, like, because I go back to Minneapolis every once in a while and do a show, and I'm no longer a local. I used to be, fresh-faced kid, and everyone would want to come around because I was an art student, and they would be like, oh, pat me on the head, let me buy your little zine from you, MCAD student. And so now when I go back, I'm just this like strange out of towner, and everyone's kind of like, why is he here? Like, and they don't want to buy things from me. They want to buy things from fresh-faced young little zinesters. And then, at a local show, you'll see like the same people who come around. When you go to an out-of-town show, everyone's just like, who are you? Like, yeah. One day,
they're still like that to me.
You will be the stranger. So
I mean,
I've yet to.
We really don't have an issue with the Portland people. It's all funny.
No,
as long as it's not the Utah artist. No,
I'm here to scold.
I'm really excited for a Utah artist that's coming this year. So
I've come onto your podcast as a loyal listener. I have my laundry list of beefs.
We're here for those totally. Nope. I was like, we're not gotcha media. It's the other way around. Our guests gotcha us.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, do you want to start with your awkward question first, or no, the other one, the one you said, I never know how to.
You know what I did almost? Yeah, I almost segued right into that. So you said you're from Michigan?
Oh, I went to school in Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota.
So the Minneapolis College of Art and Design.
Yeah, that's the awkward question I was talking about. He's like, I don't know how to usually say this. Are you from here? So local area.
Yeah, so we're now Old Guard Idahoans because we moved here back in 2001. So like we moved here before, like, in our small town, where me and my family still live, we are now Old Guard people because we came before the great influx of Californians into the state, right? So
you were also a Californian?
No, I'm from Washington.
Oh, you are
from
Washington.
Yeah,
okay.
My family is from a small Dutch immigrant community in northwest Washington called Linden. It's right on the Canadian border. You'd think Dutch people would all move to a place that's sunny and beautiful like California, and they found another dreary strip of land that constantly floods, and you're constantly trying to keep the floodwaters at bay, if you're in the floodplain. But
they're like, our farming skills are adapted for this crap weather.
Yeah, they're just like, we like the gray. We like so we moved down here in 2001, and I grew up in Idaho in a small little rural farm town, and about an hour outside of Boise, called Fruitland. I guess I could say that's part of my lore because I do run a comic convention there. It's a small town church. So yeah, grew up in Fruitland, Idaho.
Nice.
And then so the reason I went out to Minneapolis is at the time there was only 3 accredited comics degrees within the country. Later, I can't remember, OSU now has a comics program, which would have been way closer. It would have been a 8-hour drive instead of a 3-day drive for my family, but it wasn't there yet. So I went out to the other 2 programs. It would either have been SVA in New York, or it would have been the Savannah College of Art and Design. They had a comics program too. There is the Joe Kubert School, but they have just a trade program. You don't actually get a accredited college degree out of that. So I went out to Minneapolis and spent my 4 years there, and then came back here to Idaho, where I've been. Yeah, that was back in 2016. Then I moved back here, so that's almost 10 years that I've been back in the area. So
nice.
Wow. Heck yeah.
Sweet. Well, that also answers the question about your education in arts of some sort, but yours is not fine arts. It's actual, like, is it, now I'm stumbling over my words. What is your degree in? Is it?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's of fine arts in comic art,
Okay.
and I got that from Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and then my master's of fine arts in creative writing is from Eastern Oregon University.
Okay.
So
And sequential art is what I was trying to come up with.
yeah, SVA they call it SVA has a funnier name. They call it like cartoon art or something, and then SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, theirs is called sequential art, I know. So, yeah. So, no, I have a degree in comic books, which the folks at my 9 to 5, they find that hilarious, that I have a comic book degree. Because they all assume that I either have like a business degree or, what else have people thrown at me? A teaching degree, yeah, I've gotten computer science. Sometimes people will think because of the nature of my job, I was in computer science of some sort. So,
all right. So then that brings up what we'd normally ask at the beginning. You do have a day job then?
yeah. So I have.
You don't have to say what it is if you don't want to, but
No, my day job is in college student services, specifically working with CRMs. So customer relations management systems for the college to help reach out to prospective students. I get to work with international students in my day job, which is fun. And then every once in a while, they let me teach. But that's only in the dire circumstances where they haven't planned ahead or someone. The times that I've actually taught, because with a creative writing MFA, I can teach within the English department. They'll come to me and they're like, so we have someone who dropped out and they can't teach, this term. Can you pick it up? And it's like, I'd love if I had more than a month, more than a few days in advance. I'd love to have a month in advance to plan, but, every once in a while they let me shape young minds.
That's rad.
all right. So then doing art or writing for comics is not necessarily your full-time job, but you do a lot of it.
It is pretty much another full-time job. I work essentially 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
9 to 5 and then 5 to 9.
yeah, and then weekends, so it does add up, and, all my vacation time from work is put into, like, I'm technically on vacation this week before Boise Comic Arts Festival, but I have a book deadline that I'm trying to hit. I've got BCAF, all the friends that are coming through that I'm going to be entertaining and wining and dining, doing some last minute, con touch-up stuff. So it's not like like I'd love to take a vacation and go into the mountains and wander around a lake or something like that. But that's never what my vacation time looks like. So, and then before this, all my vacation time was, going to school for my master's degree, which
gotcha.
That was actually going up into the mountains and wandering around a lake and vibing with other writers. So that's
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's way cool.
All right. Well, when you're working on arts, not necessarily just comic art, but art in general, what is your medium of choice? Like, what is your preferred medium?
Yeah, so there's a ton of art supplies hanging around my desk that might imply that I do other kinds of art, but mostly what my process looks like is, I study the 3-desk, style, as my friend put it. So I have a desk where I do all my writing, and I do that typically on a laptop, either at home, in my home studio, or I tend to get a lot of writing done out in the world because there's a few less distractions. But I have a writing desk. I then have my drafting table where I draw everything. I do everything in, I pencil, ink. I do everything very traditionally for someone of my generation of cartooning. I feel that I was trained in some of the old ways, the old techniques. I ink everything with a brush and pen and ink. And then, I have my coloring station, where I have my nice computer and I have a Unova, which is kind of an off-brand Cintiq that I work with. And I do all and then I'm so excited, this vacation that I'm on right now, I got to rearrange my studio and optimize it for max efficiency.
I love doing that.
It's been so great. And it's also great because I have a terrible deadline that I should be meeting. But instead I'm building shelves. But I now have like a big rack with, all my printers and scanners and that kind of stuff. So.
Nice.
But the efficiency will help you get to the deadline.
Yes. The writing deadline. That has nothing to do with any of the drawing stuff that I've been setting up. But I found myself yesterday. I was like reorganizing all of my comics in their short boxes. And I was like, when you're doing comics reorganization, you're really trying to ignore a deadline. Maybe it's time to actually dive into this stuff. Yeah. So,
well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your deadline to come talk with us.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Yes, anything to.
I was really
not yourself. Anything to have a productive reason to, not.
When you said you could make it the week before BCAF, I thought, oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
No, I take the week off from work. It worked out. So
nice.
Yeah.
I planned to, and that didn't work out. But then I always tell myself this too: the week after BCAF, like at least 2 of those days, I have to turn the phone off.
Oh yeah.
Just watch a couple movies, because one thing, I don't know if you'd ever do the same thing when there's good movies on and you're almost done with your deadline. You have to say, well, I'll save that good movie until I'm done. I can't watch it now. Just
I watch trash.
Yeah.
I watch if I'm drawing I just watch like F-Boy Island. What are some? I got really into Boston. Boston Legal's actually a pretty good show, but legal dramas are always great because it's people just standing around in a courtroom. Like you don't have to. I'm always fascinated talking with other artists. What is your like drawing TV? Because or like drawing movies. And it's mostly people being like, oh yeah, I've watched Alien like 80 times or something like that. Or, movies you've seen like a million times.
I got that tiny stack right there. It's kind of each one of those is just this cycle of again and again and again.
Yeah.
Just so I don't have to think about what's on.
But yeah, I found I'm trying to like break down the sacred formula of good background TV while drawing, and mostly it's like, okay, it has to be trash, or it has to be like slightly elevated trash. It can't be like so good. Like, whoa, what have I? There's like some documentaries where I've like put it on in the background. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a bunch of fish swimming around or something like that, and then it's like, no, it's the fish are the fish are monsters. They're sociopaths or whatever. And then I'm like dialed in.
It's so interesting. You can't get into
It can't be so interesting that you're like drawn back into it.
I do the same. I'm finding movies that I'm like, I'm describing it by, well, it's so bad, and I need to be bad and boring so that it can just be on in the background. And I pay attention. Yeah.
I don't watch TV when I'm drawing at all.
That's beautiful.
I hyper-focus. No.
Wow.
Sit in silence and just draw.
I just wish I could do that. I know I could get more done if I could.
And then I yell at my kids to be quiet from the other room.
I was just, I'm doing the figure drawing session on Saturday at BCAF with Sugar May.
At noon, I always have that one marked.
Yeah, and I'm putting together my little handout for it because I love to give little handouts at those. That I hope someone reads. But one of the images on there is from Richard Williams' The Animator's Toolkit, and it's the one of Milt Call being like, "You think I can focus on more than one thing at a time?"
That's good. All right, another question that we do like to ask a lot.
Okay.
Is when you were younger, or do you know any time in your life where you kind of thought about that you wanted to do art as a full-time thing rather than just a hobby or just
Yeah, so I've always wanted to be an artist ever since I was like 3 years old. The anecdote I always say is that my mom, this happened. My mom was tired of buying little sketchbooks for me, so she got a roll of butcher paper, and she gave me, washable markers and the butcher paper, and while she was in the kitchen, she would just kick the butcher paper roll across the floor and just watch me go, because I would just keep drawing. So a bunch of those old like childhood drawings are just gone because it's like, oh, it was just like sheets of butcher paper that
just
were
rolled
then...
up. I saved the stuff from Amazon there. It's like the best sketch paper. Yeah.
Apparently I was ahead of the game there, but
that's great.
Yeah, so, and then anytime I didn't, and I always wanted to be like drawing comics or, I wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to be Batman. And even like the jobs I was considering were like jobs I'd like learned about in comics. Like I was a third grader telling everyone I wanted to be a biochemist because that's what Bruce Banner was. And I figured it seemed like I'd connected the dots that if you were a scientist in the proximity of lab accidents, there was a decent chance you could become a superhero. So yeah, always, and I've always wanted to be a cartoonist pretty much. There's little like kind of swings on that where it's like, oh, I could be an animator, but really once I like tried to animate, it's like, no, I don't want to be an animator. I want to draw comics. Or like there was the briefest period in college where I was like, maybe I should become a fine arts major, or like there was a fine arts, and then you could like cross over into like a design or another major where it would be more like gallery or arts, like fine arts focused, but then you would like cross over into another medium or something like that. And I even was just like, maybe that's what I'm called to do. And it was like, no, I don't want to do like galleries and stuff. I just want to do comics. So.
Was there a turning point where you realized that it was something that you could like actually make money at and make it a career, or has it always been like your focus since the kid was like, this is what I want to do with my life?
I think it is. So I call myself a storyteller, comics artisan, because I've tried to find some philosophy of what my life is. What am I called to do in this world? And I've always been someone who tells stories. I've always been someone who's been invested in what is the way we carry on stories, how are stories told. And even in my like day job, I'm a storyteller, like more often than not. And I'm telling, prospective students a story of success. Like you can find success in this world. Like there's opportunities for you. I would often go into like rural high schools where there's like kids in the back in camo and they're like, I can't go to college, or like there's nothing I can progress onto with my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, did you know there's this thing called natural resources where you love hunting, fishing, and camping? You can go to school and study those kinds of things and work for like BLM, the Forest Service, things like that. Like there's opportunities out there. So that's kind of how I justify my day job to myself is, you know, like I'm telling, you know, stories of how people's lives can be better and building those systems so their lives can be better. And then the comics artisan portion, it's like, I believe in making beautiful work. I believe there's people who can make like really, people who can make like something look slapdash or immediate or, you know, really
like my work.
Oh, you're not like that. You spend hours on your comics.
Still slapdash though.
But like, you know, but I believe in, you know, I believe there's more of an artisanship of like crafting something around those stories. And I don't really feel like an artist. Like, I don't like the word artist because I don't feel it describes me very well. I feel like an artist is someone who innovates and presses forward, where like I feel like my comics are always in service of the story. And I'm not interested in really that many other kinds of art or producing it. Like, I love art. Like, I love, you know, going to a museum and seeing like a Keith Haring or Van Gogh or the Rembrandt Museum when I was in the Netherlands. But I don't find myself within my practice, like, even illustration is difficult for me. Like, I feel like if I'm not using my art to tell a story, it's difficult. It becomes like, I tried to do a BCAF print, like I tried all these different things. The only things I could make prints of were illustrations surrounding the anthology I was doing, which I love how those turned out, but it was like a cover for a comics anthology and an inside back cover for a comics anthology. It wasn't something I could come up with whole cloth. So
your whole focus is storytelling. It's all intertwined.
Yeah, I definitely feel so.
Yeah,
I like that. My people were storytellers.
And it's like, you know, like we're all, you know, telling ourselves stories. And I mean, now we're letting machines tell our stories for us. And I have all sorts of, the idea that humans aren't in control of the story anymore, or could no longer be in control of the story anymore, is so dangerous to me. And I'm really, this is one of the stories I'm most interested about for our time is, you know, with AI, because everyone's talking about AI right now. The story of AI right now is progress, which was the same story we told ourselves about atomic energy. You know, that nuclear energy is the future, or even coal, like steam power, that is the future. When we know coal contributed to a mini ice age in the UK. It wasn't called the UK at that time. It contributed to a mini ice age and black lung and child miners and like all these things. And then nuclear energy, like somehow with nuclear energy, we were able to successfully say this might be an advancement in technology, but it's not progress, because we stopped building nuclear power plants. Like, somehow we successfully told a story that, you know, circumnavigated the progress of nuclear power. And I think for the future of humanity, we have to start telling some alternate story about AI. Because it is a future, but it's clear from the environmental and societal impacts and, you know, teens killing themselves because AI essentially told them to do it. Like, it's gotta stop. So I've already answered your preemptive question about AI.
Yeah.
That might have come up, but no. So I think that's one of the really fascinating stories for our time that I'm very invested in, and just the retention of the human soul.
So we all agree AI bad. I mean,
yeah, we've never got anybody on here that
we sort of talked about it with Rachel, but
yeah, that's true. But I don't think she made any strong argument that it's our friend or anything. I don't think we've heard that point of view yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, it could be everybody.
I'm also in a space of being an information adjacent worker where I am constantly hearing people trying to sell AI when it doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't. And even things, so like I Googled, now when you Google, like the AI little summary pops up, I Googled mammalian parasites, and which was a strange series of Google searches to get there.
And it had one word, babies.
Which, like, some people would say, like, vampire bats. Like, that's, the one. I was like, is there another, mammalian parasite besides...
He's not a mammal.
That's not a mammal. But it brought up all these insects and all these, like, other things that are not mammals. And they were like, this is what this is. And we have these sources. And it's like, that's just me, like, looking up something on a whim that I find, I wanted to fact check or something. And that wasn't, like, a serious... life-saving thing or like something where I needed an answer in minutes. I even had so I was at the doctor and she was like, well, we have this new AI thing, like I'm gonna try it out. I've been trying it out when I'm looking up stuff because I needed to do a medication change. I had something that really wasn't working out for me, and so she was like, let me look up what other alternatives there are. And I could even see her face as she was like scrolling through, because she's someone who's a nurse practitioner in her field. She's gone through tons of school. She's had to learn all these different prescription concoctions, and she's like, this is terrible. Like, as she's like, and then you hear like the medical professionals who've totally bought into AI and have less training than her, and it's just terrifying to me. And there's nothing that says like, and every time they release an update of AI, it gets worse, it seems. So,
well, and that's why they bought into it, because they have less training and it's a shortcut for
them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, I had mentioned the guy that brought in his his headstone design last week. Totally forgot. AI has been an issue with us trying to look up obituaries at work, because the Google AI will fabricate an obituary for someone. If you type in someone's name, location, and obituary, it will fabricate. It'll start, like, it'll give you a whole, like, story of, like, they were born here, they died here, this is what they do. And we're looking at it and we're, like, fact-checking. We're like, none of this is real. God. Like, it's just making up, like, obituaries for people. And I'm like, makes our job kind of hard.
I realized that, that makes sense, because I think I had the same thing with, I had a family member who recently passed, an aunt, and when I looked up, first name, last name, obituary, like, it spat some stuff at me where it's very obvious, and she has a very distinctive name, so it's like, there's not many of these people in the world where, that's nuts.
Luckily, I don't have to look those up at work, so it hasn't been an issue for me. Just they're the office girls, so.
And I mean, the thing is AI is such a broad term of advanced computing.
Yeah.
There are, like models that we can generate, or like it's applied statistical. Ted Chiang makes this point that AI is just applied statistical information.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you're looking at a suite of statistical information, using the tool in that way in a very targeted manner can be wildly beneficial. Or if you're looking at huge data sets and you need it distilled down, like, that's a practical use of this technology, or a real use of the level of technology we're talking about. But building giant data centers so people can make Ghibli versions of themselves on a whim, like, depriving people of clean drinking water. Like, and that's the other thing I don't think
Yeah.
people are very knowledgeable of is the amount of water, which is going to be one of the most precious resources in the world within, the next few decades. Unless the gold standard somehow holds or something like that. But water is going to become there's a reason, Mad Max is all about water wars. Mm-hmm. Not that I want the future to be like Mad Max, but, and to just throw that down the drain so we can, I don't know, pleasure ourselves in the short term is wildly terrifying to me.
Wildly human, too.
And wildly human.
Yeah, true.
Everyone needs to have a more tamped down Dutch sensibility. We must control ourselves and restrain ourselves. We must view ourselves with the insignificance in the face of a larger power. We should also invent capitalism, which is also something the Dutch did, which was good at the time. It was better than feudalism. It was a better system than that, but it's...
Well, it's funny how many things start that, they're like, this is all about love and helping us all. Like, I'm terrified about this collective just turning into, like, some kind of mass suicide murder squad thing. That's I said we were all supposed to be getting along.
I mean, if that's what you're thinking, there is a church in Nampa for sale that I'm looking at right now.
Nice.
I was like, time to start a cult.
Sam, you'd be a wonderful cult leader. Yeah. I feel like you tell everybody things that would make them feel good about themselves. The thing is, all successful cult leaders need a logistic person in the background. From all the cult Chopsy, there we go. That's it. So, yeah, I've watched a lot of cult documentaries while drawing.
Oh, me too.
And, yeah, every great cult has the logistics person right behind that, like, zealot,
Yeah. Well, I feel like our whole country is now mostly a cult. That's kind of scary, but
it's a bunch of little ones.
But watching these things, this is what I realize. With it all boils down to a lot of things. Like our faith and our want in ourselves to be something, to be valuable, to be the main character of our story, and for that character to be good and right and just. Like the mental gymnastics that we do to make that be our, to try to say that that's our reality. It's kind of silly, but it's been happening forever.
Yep. Well, bringing it back to comics.
Yeah. We got.
I'm
Church, get in here and make us all happy.
Yeah. Oh, Church.
I'm
Daddy
curious
just brought the
what
room down.
Yeah. No, I'm curious what your entry level into comics was.
Yeah. So, that's kind of similar to the rolling a piece of paper across the floor. Kind of story. I've always been making comic books, folding pieces of paper together. Even in middle school, I'd conned our drama teacher into letting me create a spin-off comic book about a play that we were doing, and then we sold it out of the school concession stand. Which is such a weird kid thing. I was the kid who walked into 8th grade drama class with a typewriter when typewriters were very out of fashion at that point, and I was just clacking away. It was terrible. But
got your sweater and pipe.
Yeah. Then my teacher
was auditioning for a part.
Yeah, I was auditioning for the part of weird kid.
Of the professor. Yeah.
But
that's great.
So I've always been making comics. So it has never felt like there's been a real breaking in point, because it's always just been something that's been happening. So, but there's always a new milestone. It's like any career or calling or vocation. You never reach a pinnacle. You always, kind of you always find new mountains to summit. So like, you know, when I was in college, it was like, oh, I want to get accepted into this zine, you know, or like this zine anthology that people are doing. Well, you do that. And now someone asked me to be a part of their anthology zine with no money and they weren't my friend. I'd, you know, roll my eyes at them. When that was so important to me at some point.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, a small comics publisher has a gig and, oh, okay, a cover for $150. Wow, gee willikers, I'll do that. Now if someone was like, oh, can you do a cover for $150? It would be, you know, I check my bank account first to be like, oh, maybe I do need $150.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something, you know, I have the ability to say no to now. And even, you know, now that I'm on, let's see, I'm on 7th, soon to be 8th book for Scholastic, doing, you know, licensed graphic novels. This, you know, people are like, wow, you've done a book. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a few of them now.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, there's still kind of milestones that I'm looking at. You know, I've never gotten to do a continuing, like, ongoing comic series. That's something where, like, not that would pay dramatically well, or anything, but it is like a milestone. Like, oh, I've gotten to do this. Like, I've gotten to, you know, I've been in, like, you know, I did some projects for Boom. I did a cover and I did a little short comic for Adventure Time, which was fun. That was like a breakthrough project for me at that time. But you know, I've never gotten to go month to month and see my, you know, I haven't gotten to go to Collector's Outpost and be like, oh, there's my comic on the wall.
Yeah.
Wow. Every month I get to just come in here and lord it over all these nerds, you know. You know, and that's, you know, and there's now like sales milestones, you know. There's now, there's always, I'm now at the point where I'm not as interested in chasing the milestones so much as like getting to actually pursue the projects that I really enjoy and love. Which is why I'm really going to be investing in the next, you know, so I have this little world called Otahai, which is just a fantasy Idaho with the letters scrambled. And my next project here will be actually putting together like an issue of Tall Tales of Otahai, that'll be self-published, that I can have at conventions and shows, and I can say like, this is my thing. Like, this is this weird little world I've created that's the Old West, but fantasy, but kind of rough around the edges. You know, this is something that I have. Because I've, you know, with licensed books, if you don't do one for me, one for them, then you start to get burned out pretty fast.
Yeah. That's funny. That was a great answer. Not at all the direction I was going. I was curious, like your entry into like reading comics.
Yeah.
Like, you know, was it the Sunday Funnies? Was it Spider-Man? Like, I was curious, like, what got you interested in comics? But that was a great answer.
Well, let me
better
answer.
Than I thought.
I could answer that one too. Yeah, there's just always been comics around, and I've never stopped hunting for them, and I'm always looking for that new high of the next great comic I love. Because it is kind of a drug. Comics are this magical medium where scientifically it's this perfect balance of the highs you get from like straight prose, where you have the imaginative, the magic of prose is that you can imagine everything in your head. And the magic of like film and cinema is you get to see all these things flashing in front of you. And I need to find like some actual scientific papers about this, but there's a phenomenon that happens in comics that Scott McCloud talks about in Understanding Comics, where you have panel A, and then you have two panels, right? You have panel A where like someone's walking down the street, and the next panel is like someone gets a piano that crashes on top of them, right? In your head, you have scientifically created panel 1.5, which is that imagination zone where what happened in that action in between. And so your brain is like actively engaged. You know, it's halfway in between an active and a passive medium of imagination. So I'm just always chasing that high. So, you know, my first comic was a issue of Batman the Brave and the Bold where he met Commandy. And it was a really weird issue for a kid to read. I now have it. I bought it again. But I didn't have the cover. So it was just like Batman, like some really cool Jim Aparo Batman. But Commandy was like, he wasn't even in the future, which is what Commandy, he's like the boy of the future or whatever. He got like brought back into the past, and I think he was like doing drugs or something like that. And Batman takes him to Australia, and he climbs on top of a like mountain or something and has a mystical moment and is carried back into the future, which doesn't make any sense.
That is a great, I want to see this book.
It like, I rereading it, I'm like, no kid, like no 4-year-old, like
it's like Hunter S. Thompson wrote this one.
Yeah, like there's no dinosaurs or something, or like mutant sharks or something that I would have glommed onto, but
deep writing.
Yeah, so that was probably like my first comic, and then I've just kept chasing that high of trying to figure out how that boy was able to get into the future from the top of a giant rock.
What is some stuff that you like recently?
Oh, let's see. So I've been going back through, and I just finished last night, so it's really recent for me, is I got this brick collection of G.I. Joe comics that Image is putting out now. Those are like perfect. Those are probably, I put this in my newsletter here, those are probably the perfect licensed comics, because there's always drama, there's always action, there's always something just goofy, there's like this military jargon that's thrown in. Like there was you could tell Larry Hama, who was the writer for all but like 1 or 2 issues of this entire huge 300 issue long run of G.I. Joe, someone must have told him that a plane wasn't able to pull a certain maneuver in the sky, like, and it made him so mad that he was like, I'm gonna prove that this World War II plane could actually pull this kind of maneuver. And he like has the characters like narrating in this book for like 10-year-olds. They're narrating all this like super granular stuff so the G.I. Joes can like land this plane or something like that. And it's just like, that's perfect. That's how you put yourself into these work for hire projects. Like you explore your weird little, you know, quirks within the stories. And I've done that within my work for hire stuff, where I've been very lucky and unlucky that there's a few points where I was not told no when I turned in a script, because they're trying to move the process forward. So they like so like at a certain point I had the antagonist character of the Piggy books. The fans don't like it when you call that character Piggy. Her name's actually Penny, but they get mad when you call her Piggy. But I had Piggy, and I wrote into the script that Piggy, who's like a zombie pig, they don't like it when you use the word zombie either. She's infected. The Reddits on some of these characters are really interesting. But I had her driving a tank, and I was like, surely they're not Scholastic or the licensor. They're not going to let me have this character driving a tank like that. They're going to shut this down. Like, and no one said no. And so then, so that was book 2. And then book 3, I was like, what do I do? Like, my only thing I can do is give Piggy a nuke now. Like
they wouldn't let you call it a nuke. It's just a mass detonation death device.
But it's like, I was just like, I jumped the gun. Like, Piggy driving a tank should have been like the last thing I did. Oh, you like the idea, Chad? So I was able to get away with doing like a Mad Max comic for 10-year-olds. Yeah. And then I was like, so what do I do next? And I was like, Piggy Hunger Games? Like and so I was like, Piggy Hunger Games. Like I can do that. So that's what book 3 is. Piggy Hunger Games is the distillation of it.
That's funny.
Nice. Oh, and if they bring it back again, I mean, your only direction to go is what is that one Netflix show? The people in the red hoods with the black masks.
Oh, the Squid Games.
Yeah,
Squid Games, yeah.
Piggy Squid Games.
Piggy Squid Games. So, I never be surprised where the creative process will take you.
Yeah, right? Love the creative process.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, there are elementary school kids that know what Squid Games is.
Yeah. Oh.
So.
That's what they know.
My wife gets horrified at what their students know. So
we know you're going to be at BCAF, Boise Comic Arts Fest, this August 30th and 31st. I didn't even have to look this time.
Nope.
Are there any other shows that you are doing before or after that?
No, not in the few days. We
won't even get
few days to come.
I'm gonna try and get it out like tomorrow.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna try and get it out as quick as possible, but.
Oh, okay.
I'll say so little stupid shit, so you have so little cutting that you have to do.
So
too late for that.
So I will be at BCAF here on the 30th and 31st. So the 30th, I'll be doing a life drawing session with Sugar May. The 31st, I'll be doing a Dungeons and Drawing, which is one of my favorite things I do every year, where we have myself, and then this year it's kind of a rotating cast of characters, but this year it'll be myself, Sarah Pincock, Cassie Anderson, and Rose Basamra. Those will be my players. But we do like a tabletop RPG session, essentially in front of an audience, and then the artists are drawing as the session is happening.
Oh.
So, like, if a character's doing something funny, someone will hop up and draw that scenario, or they'll draw their characters as we're like going, and it's all on a big piece of paper. And the funnest part, we talked about doing it digitally at one point. Or I was thinking after the first year, I was like, it's kind of janky to just have a, bunch of paper and, we're flipping, and that kind of thing. We'll level up one year and, we'll do it this with technology.
And then project it.
And that'll be so cool. But what we found out is, so afterwards it's like, well, none of the artists want these like quick, like 1-minute sketches. Like, it's not like people want to carry those home in their suitcases or whatever. So at the end of the first session, I was like, well, who wants a drawing? And all these teenagers are so excited to have like this memento of like the session or whatever. Nice. And so they like swarmed, and I was just like, take whichever one you want. And they were just so excited. And so after that, it was like, we can't go to digital with this. That's too fun to just be handing out original art that is just cheap and it's free and accessible, which is one of the things I love about BCAF. As far as like future shows, there will be. So I do run a little small town Comic-Con in Fruitland, Idaho, which I think has a population of, where are we at now? We up to 6,000. But I coordinate the fun little old church ladies at my church, and we put together a benefit comic convention called Hot Cocoa Comic Con, which is, a church outreach kind of thing. It's to benefit the community, and then all of our proceeds that we get from it, we don't charge admission, but we say $5 suggested donation, and people will toss, some extra bucks into the bucket. All of that money goes to UMCOR, which is the relief arm of the United Methodist Church. And UMCOR is one of the like best rated top charity organizations in the world. Like, because within the Methodist Church, there's a special Sunday called Umcor Sunday, where the church essentially pays for all the administrative support for the entire year. So any donation on top of that goes towards actual boots on the ground, like support and help. And if they're not able to get into an area, then they can fund the people. Like with the California fires, Umcor wasn't able to get there very fast. They weren't able to mobilize, but they were able to give grants to help the people who were already there to support them. So it's cool. One of those things, like, I know religion is a really difficult subject, or relationships with, organized religion and spirituality are really, really difficult. But whenever I'm telling people like they're donating towards this, it's like, even if you're not a church person, like, it's going to something good. Like, it's, with like Umcor, like, because it's not going to administration because the church has already covered that for the rest of the year. So it's going to good stuff.
Nice.
So that'll be January 31st. Sam's got his board of future events.
Yeah, he's starting on 2026.
Yeah. So, and the other great thing is people who come get free hot chocolate. So
you were gracious enough to invite me last year to the inaugural con.
It was fun.
It was fun. I love all the cute old people at your church.
Yeah, so cute. And then there was like a sing-along at the end, which you ducked out for.
We had to get going.
You did have to get going.
I realized the...
You had hung out for a while. And
you guys haven't heard my voice. I mean, it's like...
I wanted to hear your voice.
Honey butter.
Your high falsetto.
That's right. I actually knew. How did you know?
But no, it was a long day, and I knew you had to get going. But that ended up actually. So we did my whole idea was like, okay, what can you do at a church that you can't do at like a convention space or a hotel ballroom or like something like that? And I was like, we have access to like the church organ and the church piano. Like, let's do... And it wasn't supposed to be a sing-along. It was supposed to... They were
going to do the Star Wars theme.
Yeah, they did the Simpsons theme. They did... They did...
that was great.
It's Not Easy Being Green, like from the Muppets. Like, the church pianist went rogue on me. I gave her a list of like, oh, this would be great to hear. And she just like pulled out her own list. And she like...
Nice.
Totally... And then she found like performers to like... sing along, like, so they did Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid, which was not on my list. But like, she went totally rogue. It was hilarious.
Well, and you had all those tables set up and a lot of activities up in the top floor. That was great.
Yeah, we did a trivia challenge, and Shared Stories, which is a local bookstore. They donated some gift certificates, so we had we had some trivia during the like sing-along portion, and that afterwards we were able to like hand out people who like were able to guess where all the movies that all the songs were from. That was super cool. So no, I think year 2 the congregation was kind of like, we had no clue what to expect with this thing. And now they were, after the first run, they were like, I don't know what they were thinking it was going to be, but they saw what it actually turned out to be, and it was mostly, kids coming in with their pirate costumes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was very cute. So I think it was all about good vibes. That's nice. The whole event was just about good vibe stuff, and it turned out that way, which I was very happy for. And we raised was it a little under $1,000 for disaster relief? So from that small little event, so that was good. That was a net positive. So
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Any guests at BCAF this year you're excited to see?
Well, I love seeing my friends.
Yeah. I
love seeing my friends who come into town. Chan Chow, who's a close friend from MCAD. We were at MCAD. Chan was a year ahead of me. So it's always great to see Chan. They're a really close friend of mine. Rose Basamra. And both Chan and Rose were in Faraway Ansible, which I didn't even talk about. It's Ursula K. Le Guin tribute anthology that I put together with a crew of Chan Chow, Rose Basamra, Laura Konetzker, who's unfortunately not able to be at BCAF this year. And then Amelia Diaz Ettinger, who's a local, Eastern Oregon poet. And one of the cool things is, the central point of it is we all made comics kind of influenced by the legacy of Ursula K. Le Guin, who's like a favorite writer of all of us who were in the anthology. But I put together, because this was at the corners of my mind, my friend Amelia, who I met through the Eastern Oregon MFA program, she was actually friends with Ursula, and they went to Fish Trap Writers Festival together and became friends that way. And I'd gone to Fish Trap for 2 years. One of them was a COVID year, so it was online, so it was really funky. But yeah, we had that connection. And so Amelia actually contributed a poem that I illustrated. And then that's actually one of the prints that I'll have at BCAF, is that illustrated poem that she did in tribute to Ursula.
Nice. That's rad. When is that coming out?
Oh, it's a BCAF debut.
Nice.
So it'll be there
Saturday.
Yeah, I'll have it from my little produce stand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're gonna see if this thing actually works. So I built for the listeners, I built a miniature produce stand because my publishing brand is called Seasonal Produce Publishing. So I built this little stand, and my dad helped me build it out of old pallets. And I had an initial design. This is how the building process worked with me and my dad. I had an initial design. He thought that was too basic, and so he made it way more complicated than I was just slapping some boards together. He was like, no, we're disassembling these pallets and we're gonna give it this rustic look, and no, we're not gonna paint it, we're gonna give it this really rustic vibe and like all this stuff. And then he would be working on it, and my dad doesn't think I can use a set of tools, so it would essentially be me standing off to the side as my dad would work on it. And then he would take a break and go do something else. And then I would work on it while he was gone. And then I would get stuff done. And he'd come back and he'd be like, huh. And then he'd work on it again, ignoring that I'd actually done anything while he was away. So yeah, I'm excited, see, I've been really like convention displays. Like I've just been seeing so much like the same, we're all going to the same like Office Depot like section, I feel like.
Yeah.
Or like people are buying the same like, not pipes and drapes because that's like background stuff, but like the same pop-up banners, the same.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do something different. So I have like the produce stand. I have milk crates that I'll be tipping up for like my convention display stands. I did get some mini easels from Michael's that to kind of help with things. And then I have like a gingham like picnic tablecloth. So it's going to look really folksy. And so I even thought about, because I haven't had a pair of overalls or bibs in a few years. Bibs, as my dad would call them. I haven't had a pair of bibs in a while because my old pair I got a little too husky for. But I was like, maybe I should get some overalls. And then I was like, we're already going hard, like one convention. We're doing a lot of change in one convention, like to the whole setup. Maybe don't go too, don't go too folksy too fast.
If they can't understand the concept from the stand, I don't know if the overalls are going to sell it.
Yeah. And then
you don't want to be in like farmer,
and take your shoes off
character the whole weekend.
I've worn a cowboy hat and boots to conventions before because that's where I'm from. When I was in Minneapolis, it was like especially going to school. Everyone at MCAD was just like, we got this folksy guy from Idaho here. Like, meanwhile, I was never like I was never the farm kid growing up. I mean, I did like the farm stuff, like, you know, showing cows and things like that growing up, but I always did it reluctantly. And then I became like the farm guy at MCAD. And then like I came back here and they were always like, well, there's that creative city boy. And I was like stranded in between, you know, two worlds. But yeah, so I'm excited about the display. And there's some hooks I can hang prints from. Nice. That'll be fun. So
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. And the last, well, I won't say which convention it was that I was at. Well, I had a couple conventions where, and it might have been the medication I was on previously that I got changed up. I was so miserable. Like, I was just like internally, like, I had my fake smile on really good at some points, but I was just miserable. And I was doing some drawing and, you know, like, it just wasn't fun for me. And so this convention, I really want to be like, okay, what's fun for me? Like, what? And I'm Chan.
You're right behind me.
Yeah. So you'll get to see IRL.
We're right next to you.
Because I think that one convention, like, every time you saw me, I would be like, I'm having a terrible time. I want to leave. Like, this is hell.
I think anybody that was an actual illustrator, a comic book maker at this comic convention was like, this isn't really for me.
Yeah.
I'm using air quotes. Our listeners can't see their comic convention.
Oh, I'm curious about that now, but I want to talk more about that.
Tell you
I don't
recording.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like there's that Jaime Hernandez drawing where it's like, if the scene sucks, you suck. You know, like, I don't want to talk. There's people trying to do something good. I don't want to talk trash about anyone else's events. But I really, like, after those, like, I was just like, okay, I'm tired of doing fan art. Kids come up to me and they want me to draw, and I love that to a certain extent. But I'm doing it to a point where it's not a fun part. And I also just felt myself being like, I don't want to draw Spider-Man as much anymore. Like, it's unless I'm getting more money for it. Yeah. So Chan grew up. Chan Chow kind of like grew up as an artist doing like anime conventions and like just pumping out. I remember in college, Chan would sit down and just pump out prints for these anime conventions. Like, Chan would do like 4 prints in 2 hours. Like, jeez. Like, not so fast production. And it would be like of Steven Universe characters or, you know, whatever was hot right then, Chan would do fan art of. But now Chan has a no, which, like, you know, any artist might reverse this kind of thing, but I'm calling it, you know, I'm following the path of Chan Chow where I'm doing no fan art at my table, which might not be the, you know, greatest financial decision, you know, because people love, you know, to buy Spider-Man or G.I. Joe or whatever.
That's funny because Chopsy and I are kind of on the opposite ends of the pendulum on that. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of fan art and I do very little. And yeah, so I say good luck. You do good work though.
Yeah. And I think it's just a matter of the people I want coming up to my table are people who are excited about what they're seeing, like the work, the art. And not so much they're just excited to see, you know, such and such character.
Yeah.
And, you know, I might totally reverse course in like a year and be like, you know what? I want to draw more G.I. Joes, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm a little... I've spent my time in the comic convention commission mines. Might need to be a little bit of a break. And if someone came up to me and was like, hey, I have 100 buckaroos. You want to draw something for me? I'd be like, sure, I love 100 buckaroos. Not that too many people want, you know, but there is that guy who comes around. He's a local guy that everyone knows, similar to this guy's a lot more beneficial. But I really want to find out the origins of this guy who, you remember Phantomonium, right? Uh-huh. Were you ever in the artist alley at Phantomonium?
No, never made it in.
There was this guy, and when I was a little baby, I did I got a Fandemonium table as like a junior in high school or something ridiculous. Wow. Like, it must have been a slow year for them, or they must not have gotten a lot of table applications, because I might have just put down that I was Steve Wilhite's friend or something like that, and they were like, well, if Steve likes this kid or whatever. So, but that was one of my first con experiences. And this guy comes up and he's like, so, would you draw a wardrobe malfunction? And that was his thing to every artist, was asking him to draw wardrobe malfunctions. And he was such a nice little guy but he wanted these like pinup drawings. Like, and it was just like, huh. Like, that was his one thing. And so I always just remember the wardrobe malfunction guy. I think he passed. I think Steve said he passed away. Okay. But it was just kind of. But there is like there's a new guy on the scene. He's not the wardrobe malfunction guy, but he comes around to all the tables and he asks if you'll draw a character, and he has all these characters that he's put into a randomized list. And then you select, you click a button and he doesn't want to know which character you're going to draw. Like, he might have, and it was, I think it wasn't the bride from Kill Bill. It was one of the assassins from Kill Bill, one of the people that ends up dying. But, like, that character was on the list. Yeah. And the same list is like, I don't know, Storm Shadow. And, it's just this totally random list of characters that he just really likes. And you spin this little button, he doesn't want to know. He pays, really well. And then he walks away and he comes back and he's so excited to get a commission of a character he didn't know he was going to get. And it's like, those are the beautiful people that I enjoyed when I was doing kind of more of that stuff. But,
yeah. I mean, that would be fun. I don't normally like to sit at the table and like draw, because I try to interact with everyone and talk to people, but
I can't draw. Yeah. I can't do it at the comic meetups because I don't know what it is.
You get stimulated.
Yeah. Well, that's why I moved to just doing, like, I only do commissions on my sketch cards now. Like, you get a little trading card, and that's like the only way I'm doing a convention.
Yeah. That's smart to have a stack of those too, and then that's a good idea.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Someone.
Sorry, Chutch.
Oh, Chutch is what a good boy.
Yeah.
What a good boy.
Was it about commissions?
It might have been about commissions. It might have been me just being like, man, I wish the wardrobe malfunction guy would come up and I could draw something for him now. Because I drew, I was like a junior in high school. I think I drew like a robotic wardrobe having a malfunction because I was too embarrassed at the idea of what he was suggesting. But I think I would kill it now.
I would love to see his collection too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was filled with just... Steve did tons for... Like, every year he would come around. So he probably had like 5 Steve Wilhite originals of sexy ladies. Wow. I would probably draw him a sexy gent and not tell him, and he would pay for gay wardrobe malfunction. But I'm excited this year. I'll have Faraway Ansible, which is a nicely priced anthology too, where I know I'll make a little money from it. The other thing is because it's an anthology and it's all my friends, and I've found people who were way more talented than I am to be a part of it. I can really hype that book, and I'm hoping to have a new Faraway Ansible every year that I can just be really excited about and to hand out to folks and just say, like, these are my friends. Like, I love their stuff. I'm in here too, but I did pretty okay this time. But this person, you gotta check out, because Chan did a comic, which Chan's always like blah 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 about their own work, but I really think it's some of the best work Chan's ever done, and I'm so excited to share that with people. So
we are always the hardest critics of our own stuff, for sure.
Yeah. Everyone who's read my comic is just like, that was sad. Which is, I made people feel something, which is really good as
which
an
is
artist.
always the goal.
That's the highest goal,
good.
I think, of an artist.
That's
to
a
affect
good
an
thing.
emotion. Yes.
But it's always like, this is like when my mom one time, she read something that I was making in college, and she said something like, and she's such a sweet person, and she just goes, your work has just this darkness to it. I was, like, she was like morally troubled by the art I make, which I don't know. I haven't checked in with her lately to see if she still feels there's such darkness to my work, but
maybe she's desensitized at this point. She's just like, oh, it's just him.
oh, he just does those comics, you know. I don't know how many of there's certain people in my life who are not like arts people or not comics people where they do buy my stuff and I'm like, I don't know if they read it, but they are nice enough to just buy it, which I'm
to support you. But
I have a friend who works at the college, and she'll just buy some of my stuff from me, and then I see it on her like bookshelf at the office, and I'm like, I don't know if that's ever been cracked open, but it's nice that it's there.
Sometimes those are the best sales because you know somebody has it at least.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
I'm Vannotes Books on all the platforms, so it's pretty easy to track me down. I still have like a, Facebook page that's pretty much just hooked up to my Instagram, and an Instagram that I reluctantly post to, and a Blue Sky that I post just dumb thoughts today. Let's see what genius thought I had today that I put on Blue Sky.
I didn't know you were on Blue Sky.
I'm on the Bisky. But yes, I had the thought, is there anything creatively sadder than a Cuphead clone? If you want posts like that, or me just posting old webcomics from college up on there for the heck of it, or me making posts like, the best stories all have one thing in common. A cool lady is friends, but maybe could one day fall in love with a robot who is a big sweetheart with a giant bazooka. I'm not aware of a single work of great literature that doesn't fall into this trope. If you thought those were great thoughts you want in your brain, follow me on Blue Sky.
I just did, because again, I didn't know you were there.
And then I have a newsletter that comes out through Beehive that I've been trying to be real regular about, because I feel like, and people read the thing. That's the Sam was telling me.
I read it today. I got it.
He read it. My aunt always reads it, and she sends me a wild email back.
I like how personal it is, too. Like, you could have just said, well, here's a book, and here's this and that, but you do the personal touch. This is how I'm feeling, like, emotionally. I thought it was good.
My aunt was mad that I haven't included any drawings of my cat. She's really upset about that. She wrote her scathing critique on my last newsletter that I sent out that I didn't address with this one is that I haven't drawn any comics of my cat. Like, she genuinely is mad about it. So
now you just make a cat spite comic for the next one.
Yeah. The thing is, Sophie's so chill that I don't really have. She doesn't generate a lot of content. She's not a Garfield. She's just real, like.
She's even less than Garfield.
She's just a nice cat.
Yeah. Well, your aunt wants to see her maybe sleeping.
I don't know there's.
That's great. Now I want to too.
Yeah.
Just 4 panels of the cat not doing anything.
After BCAF, I won't have like any conventions to really hype for a while, so I guess it's just cat content for a few months.
Well, there you go.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll make sure to get links for all that stuff.
Yeah. We'll put some pictures up and you'll learn it.
Yeah, get people.
Oh, and before we leave, I want to take a picture with all of us. That's been a new thing.
Oh, okay.
Just so we can put that on.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Well,
Unless you have other stuff you want to talk about.
No.
I didn't know if are we done with the podcast?
Yeah.
Are we done?
But I can hit stop anytime unless you have
okay.
other things you want to
Yeah, totally. Do we
splice
got more,
into it.
more
and
things?
I'm done.
We can go back into
I'm out of here.
I mean, you do have to drive back to Fruitland, so.
No.
Good. Okay.
All right, well, I'm taking this off.
Thanks again to Vannotes for taking the time to come out and chat with me and Sam. If you want to find more of Vannotes' work, go to vannotesbooks.com or his Linktree. There will be links in the description. Please sign up for Vannotes, a newsletter. It's informative, and it's a good way for artists to connect directly with their fans. And we will have links for all that in the description. If you want to see an expanded description of the podcast with artwork and photos of our featured interviewers, go to caffeinefuelcreative.com. That will also be in the description, and you can see more of me and Sam, and also follow links to our respective sites. Again, I would like to apologize to Vannotes for not getting this out before BCAF. The theme song for the podcast is Escape the Maze by the Lab Brats. Thank you, Adam, for letting us use this. It makes me so happy to hear it at the beginning and end of every episode. You've been listening to the Caffeine Fueled Creative Podcast with Chopsy and Sam, and until next time, go make some art.